So it's not technically trade season yet. You still got the NBA Finals going on. Boston just blew out Dallas in Game 1 last night. I don't know how to feel about that. Obviously, as a Heat fan, I don't want the Celtics to hoist the championship trophy. But also, I'm kind of holding out hope that Luka will ask out one day. And if he wins a championship with the Mavericks, that boy's never leaving. So I think there's positives to both outcomes of the finals from a Heat fan's perspective. But anyways, I like how my guy Brendan Tobin calls this current state that we're in fodder season, because there's a lot of fodder, there's a lot of trade rumors, and there's all kind of great articles coming about. So that's kind of what I want to get into today. Now, I am working on some very special videos. I have the first one dropping on Sunday. I'm very excited about it. So I figure in the meantime, let's do one of these more chill videos. I get to talk to you guys and we just get to, discuss what's going on in the rest of the league. Now, I didn't read this article yet, but I did see Jimmy Butler on the cover, so I saved it until I had some time to react, and that's what we're going to get into today. Now, I did see this is from Greg Swartz. It's not from our guy Andy Bailey, and you guys might know Andy's our guy. Any Bleacher Report article that's not written by him hasn't been great, but let's give Greg Swartz a chance. This one is called Surprise Landing Spots for NBA Players That Are in the Rumor Mill. The first one I got, hold on a second. The title says Surprise Landing Spots for NBA, players. Okay. I thought it said NBA stars, and I saw Kyle Lowry, and I got really annoyed for a second because that dude is cheeks, literally, figuratively, and metaphorically. But anyways, they have him going to the New Orleans Pelicans. They say how he gets there, he signs in free agency. Oh, so this is more than just some trade rumors here. So it's interesting though. It says the Pelicans were desperate to sign Lowry in 2021. Instead, he landed a 3-year, $85 million signing trade that landed him on the Miami Heat. Oh, what could have been? Listen, I listened to a recent 5 on the Floor episode with Ethan Skolnick, and they were discussing the 5 worst mistakes in the Jimmy Butler era. And there was some debate between him and Alex on whether the Lowry signing was a mistake or not. That was arguably the biggest mistake because, one, you traded Goran Dragic, right? And Precious Achiuwa, which I guess the bigger mistake would have been drafting Tyrese Maxey. But anyways, you traded at least Goran, who we liked a lot, for Kyle Lowry, who not only didn't want to be here, but put you in salary cap hell and really hard capped you from doing anything else for the next few seasons. And it obviously didn't work out very well at all. I know the Heat team went to a finals run with Lowry. I know he was decent in the first year here. I know he had some great playoff moments, but overall, that was just a huge failure. I'd say the whole Kyle Lowry thing. Now, I do wonder what Lowry would go for at his, what is he, like 38 years old now? I wonder what his, value is on the open market. This says that some contenders may be able to offer Lowry of that minimum. New Orleans could give him up to $13 million mid-level, $13 million, wow, mid-level exception, or the $5 million biannual exception. Now, it doesn't say how much they think he'd be worth. I certainly think that he probably has a bigger market than the vet minimum. He's probably at the stage of his career where he would rather be on a contender instead of getting paid more on a team to lose, right? Because he's made a lot of money in his career. I don't know him personally, but I do think he can find himself on a better team even than New Orleans for more than the vet minimum. Or maybe he resigns in Philly because it's his hometown. Maybe that team gets Paul George. They're looking rejuvenated, and he takes, Philly has money too. So I guess he could sign with Philly for however much money they're willing to offer him. That would depend on what other moves Philly makes. But as far as his fit on New Orleans, that team certainly needs a point guard. The problem is all these point guards that we're hearing about them maybe getting, like Darius Garland, for example, Kyle Lowry, they're very small. And when you already got CJ McCollum, who's aging, he's already small as it is, I don't think you could put a small point guard next to that. I like the idea of Josh Giddey, I've heard thrown around because he's a bigger guard. Now, I know he can't shoot, and I know Zion can't shoot, but you can surround them with guys like CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, who's obviously going to have a huge role, Herb Jones, if he can continue to improve as a shooter, Larry Nance could stretch the floor a little bit. Like they have guys for New Orleans, but I think I've spent entirely too long. I didn't even mention Brandon Ingram because he's probably gone as well, but if he stays, well, then he could shoot. But I spent way too much time talking about Kyle Lowry. But overall, I feel like I was pretty positive, right? So I'll move on before I say anything too negative. Next, we got the Detroit Pistons. Getting Chris Paul. Oh man, we talked about first off, how do they do it? They say sign and trade, or sign as a free agent actually after getting waived. So he's not technically a free agent yet, but the Warriors can waive him before his $30 million salary becomes guaranteed. Wow. At 39, yeah. So he definitely will not be a Golden State Warrior next year. And if he is, it'll be on some sort of restructured deal once they waive him. Well, I guess if they waive him, I don't think they could technically sign him back anyway. So Chris Paul's probably not on the Warriors by the time the season starts in October. And I think we're going to look back at this as one of those, like, remember when, Chris Paul played for the Warriors? And the answer is probably going to be no. Like, other examples, Hakeem Olajuwon on the Raptors, Patrick Ewing on the Sonics and the Magic. Stuff like that, I think, is how we're going to remember Chris Paul and the Warriors. Now, we talked about how Lowry might want to sacrifice some pay to win. This would be the exact opposite if Chris Paul was to do something like this. But essentially just says that Detroit can create almost $70 million in cap space. And they'd be eager to give Chris Paul a giant one-year, $15 million deal. Actually, I like it for Detroit. I like the idea of actually getting a veteran in there, a guy who has seen it all, except the championship, and letting him work with a lot of their young guards like Jaden Ivey, Marcus Sasser, Cade Cunningham. I think that team has some nice young talent, and getting a guy in like Chris Paul I think will go a long way in just teaching them the right way to play the game and just all the things he learned as a vet. Because right now that team is super young and they got no vets, right? The only guys they had was Bogdanovich, Alec Burks. They sent those guys away. If you're Detroit, you got to get some vets in there, and what better vet than Chris Paul, I guess, right? And if you're Chris Paul, get that back. I'm not going to hate on you. Moving on here, we got Paul George to the Magic. Wow, that's a new one. This one says sign as a free agent. Okay, also, because he's also a free agent. I'm sure the Magic have a ton of cap space just because they're such a young team now. And they can create, over $66 million in cap space. Now, I don't like Paul George, right? But I do like the idea of the Orlando Magic sort of going for it. I mean, sometimes you don't always go from, ass to championship contender the next year. Sometimes it's baby steps. They went from missing the playoffs several consecutive years to making the playoffs this past year, going to a Game 7. Maybe adding a guy like Paul George can get them to the second round, maybe close to the third round. Maybe if guys like Franz and Paolo take a big leap there. And then, 3 years from now, Paul George moves on. And now you still got a very young core of Franz and Paolo and Jalen Suggs and the rest of those guys that have some experience. And now they're able to use that and maybe go on their own run, to a conference finals, maybe NBA finals, if Paolo Banchero continues to develop into the superstar that I think we all can be. Now, the reason I don't like Paul George is because he's a habitual playoff choker, playoff P, pandemic P, way off P, whatever you want to call him. I'm not a fan. But the Magic need scoring, and he would definitely provide a lot of that in the regular season, at least. And he's still a pretty good defender to kind of fit everything else they have going on. So I do like this for the Atlanta Magic. And if you are Paul George, yeah, go get your bag too. You're not going to win a ring there, but hey, you're not winning a ring if you re-sign with the Clippers either, or if you go to Philly. So, I mean, shoot, Philly got as far last year as the Magic did. Not even, right? So I kind of like that for both parties there. Number 4, we got a familiar idea we've heard about is Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors. They have it via trade. Do they have the trade package in here? Something around Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, and Andrew Wiggins. Oh, man. Listen, from a Warriors perspective, I love it. I don't know. Did it say something about Klay Thompson there? Yeah, so they're able to retain Klay Thompson also. It would certainly help rejuvenate that franchise and give them one last hurrah, another year or two with that core, because I think they're still really good. Outside of Klay Thompson, he's dipped a little bit, but you still got Curry. Draymond does what he does, and Jimmy Butler, I still think, can play at an elite level, so it does extend the lifespan of those guys. And I think the Warriors should do whatever they can to go all in on Curry, like for the next, the rest of his career. I think they owe that to him, especially considering he's still playing at an elite level. Now, for the Miami Heat, no, I hate this. Obviously, they'd be getting some draft capital of some sort, but Andrew Wiggins has the worst contract in the entire NBA, and I want no part of it. Now, if there was any team that could sort of turn his career around, it would be the Heat. I know he has the tools to be a really great two-way player, and in theory, that could work amazing on the Heat, but I got way, way bigger fish that I'm looking out for. I got some other whales, and if you get that Wiggins contract in here, you can kiss every other whale goodbye for as long as that contract runs, because he makes too much money and it's essentially untradeable, especially when you don't have first round picks to attach to it to get rid of it. And we know the Heat barely have any first round picks as it is. Of course, they'd be getting a couple here, but no, not a fan of the Andrew Wiggins here. So I've seen better trades for Jimmy Butler. The ones I like the best are ones that get us like 3 first round picks and a couple nice young players, like the Spurs idea for Keldon Johnson. Something along those lines is what I would prefer in a Jimmy Butler package. Not that I want to trade him, because I don't. I want to keep him on this team. And it looks like the fifth one here is LeBron to the Knicks. That would disgust me. They have it being with an opt-in and trade, because obviously I believe LeBron has 1 more year left on his contract at $51 million. So essentially he'd opt in and the Knicks could send out equal salary, which I know would include Julius Randle, and who else they got here? Miles McBride, Bojan Bogdanovic. For the Knicks, that would be scary, because I was kind of saying the same thing if the Knicks could somehow swing Jimmy Butler, right? Let's say the Heat don't want to give Jimmy a max extension. He demands out. I could see the Knicks pursuing him because it fits great. Jimmy loves Tom Thibodeau, and, it would just be a match made in heaven, essentially, for what that Knicks team needs. You could put Jimmy next to Anunoby, so you'd still have the scoring. The defense would get better. Brunson would have some elite superstar help. It'd be amazing. LeBron does all of that stuff that Jimmy brings to the table, except to an elevated level. So this would be amazing for the Knicks. They'd go all in, and truthfully, they would be my pick to win the NBA championship. Because at this day and age, I still think LeBron is, I used to always say the first, and I said I was never going to change that until he retires. But realistically, I got him third right now. I got Jokic, I got Luka, I got LeBron. I don't care if he's 39 years old. Look what he's doing numbers-wise. Look what he's doing in the postseason. He is still that guy, and he hasn't shown any signs of significantly slowing down. So if you put him on that Knicks team that already did some damage while unhealthy last year, imagine what they could do next season with LeBron. And from the Lakers' perspective, I mean, they're getting some salary. I don't know if they're getting any picks here. Well, the Knicks got a ton of picks, and it does say they could send some over, and I'm sure the Knicks would. But if you're the Lakers, you're essentially starting a rebuild. I'm sure they'd have to follow this by trading Anthony Davis, but from the Knicks, you're not really getting any nice young pieces that excite you. It'd mostly be the draft capital, which is still nice, because for a guy at LeBron's age, I don't know how many teams would be willing to give up significant draft capital to get a 39-year-old. But since the Knicks have so many picks, that's something they certainly would do. But anyways, that's all I got to say for this video. Let me know what y'all think about what you've seen down below. Tomorrow, I'll be dropping, I think, a Jaime Jaquez Nikola Jovic video. And then Sunday, I have the pretty elaborate video I've been working on a mock Heat offseason, including Lowry marketing. That's all I'll say. So make sure y'all like this video and subscribe, because it does help me out a lot. I'm grinding to hit 5K subs by the start of next season. So check below, see if you're subbed. If you're not, go ahead and hit that for me. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in the city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.